crews led to the shocking realization that 9 out of 10 Americans will be dead by the end of the first year. Our government has been using EMP protection within the military and its continuity plan since the Cold War. The President and his men are well protected against EMP, including when traveling on Air Force One. However, you, your loved ones, and the things you depend on to live are not protected. The Obama administration's list of priorities obviously won't admit EMP threats. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Newt Gingrich, has been trying to expose this threat and our vulnerability for the last couple of years, but most of his efforts were in vain. EMPs are one of the deadliest threats known to man. You, your family, your loved ones, and our entire nation could be wiped out in a matter of seconds, and no one's doing anything about it. Most solutions you will find on EMPs are just fantasy novels that fail to discuss real answers. They paint a pretty vivid picture of what's going to happen, but so do all the documentaries on EMPs that are out there. On the other hand, there's a bunch of armchair survivalist courses with stupid ideas, like put all your appliances inside a big Faraday cage. But how's that going to help? Things like your iPhone, for instance, will be completely worthless when all the communication networks are down. And of course you can always wait for the government to fix the grid, but good luck with that. At the moment they're not. Everybody's known about the grid's vulnerability for decades. We've known of an EMP threat ever since the early 60s. That's 10 different administrations sleeping on it, and this one doesn't even care that the power grid is rated a D+. Why? Probably because they won't get any new votes by fixing the grid. They're spending trillions on Obamacare, but not a dime on the power grid. That's why I'm telling you all of this. You have to put yourself and your family first, because nobody else will. That's why you need to start preparing for an EMP now. But the solutions I found left me frustrated. When I realized what my options were, I was absolutely horrified. I was outraged nobody is doing anything about it. And when I found out that the White House is prepared for an EMP themselves, but nothing is done to protect us, the American citizens, I lost it. So finally, I decided to find my own answers. I spent hours in libraries reading books. I watched all the documentaries and interviews I could find. I looked for courses. I talked to all the survival experts I know. I even tried contacting NASA, but I got nothing. Lucky for me, my life was about to change. I almost gave up after spending months poring over research to prepare for an HEMP attack. Most information was useless. I had nowhere else to go. I was about to throw in the towel, but somehow I couldn't. I thought of my kid, and the picture of him living in a dark age was unbearable. I couldn't just give up. He deserves better than that. My last hope was this peculiar professor I found online, Charles Green. He's an ex-college professor, physicist, and prepper, and he's fully aware of the likelihood of an EMP. He knows the devastating consequences compared to a massive hurricane or even an economic meltdown. That's why he became so obsessed with surviving an EMP threat that he took a 2-year sabbatical to live in an Amish community. Let me explain. The Amish are a very unusual religious community. Modern life comfort is irrelevant to them. They live simple lives and maintain traditions that go back over 300 years. They grow their own food for their families. They barely use any electricity, and when they do, it's off the grid. They do this because their religion forbids them to. However, it's their choice, and they prefer a life with no distractions. You see, Charles's obsession drove him to a small Amish community in Pennsylvania. He had only one goal: learn to survive and build a community in a post-EMP world, and the Amish are the closest thing to that. Unfortunately, there's no audio or video recordings of Charles's experiences because the Amish forbid the use of any modern gadgets, so the only recordings are notes Charles took. In his notes, Charles described in vivid details the Amish way of life. He discovered plenty of ways to keep your food from spoiling without a fridge, and a secret Amish use to store heat-sensitive medicine, and surprising places where you can find drinkable water enough to sustain your family for months, even if you live in an arid region. Every talk I had with Charles was eye-opening. I never came across anyone so intelligent, knowledgeable, and devoted to the study of EMP survival. He told me virtually all of us, and this includes seniors and kids, can survive without electricity. The only condition is they need to know what to do when the power goes out. Sure, it wouldn't be a luxurious life or even a comfortable life at first, but your family, your loved ones, and even your entire community can stay alive. I was completely humbled by what Charles was showing me. I thought I knew everything about survival when in fact I was just barely scratching the surface. Here's the good news. Charles showed me secrets few preppers, survival experts, or even people from the military know. In fact, there are many things you can do right that will do wonders for you and your family. I was so amazed and thankful of what Charles taught me. I realized that this information had to be available to every family out there. It took some convincing. Actually, I begged and nagged him for weeks, and he finally